Welcome to level 1. This one is deceptively simple but incredibly profound. It's called the liar paradox. Imagine someone writes down a sentence on a piece of paper. The sentence reads, "This statement is false." Now, let's analyze it logically. If the statement is true, then what it says must be correct. But the statement says that it is false. That means it cannot be true. Okay? So, let's assume instead that the statement is false. But if it's false, then its claim that it is false must be incorrect. That means it must actually be true. And just like that, we're stuck in an endless loop. The statement cannot be true, but it also cannot be false. No matter how we look at it, we are trapped in a logical contradiction. And that's level 2. If you think this paradox is tricky, just wait. Things are only gonna get weirder. Welcome to level 2 of 100 paradoxes. Imagine there is a town with only one barber. This barber follows a strict rule. He only shaves those who do not shave themselves. If a man in the town shaves himself, the barber does not shave him. But if he does not shave himself, the barber must shave him. Seems simple, right? But now, here's the paradox. Who shaves the barber? Let's analyze both possibilities. First, suppose the barber shaves himself. But according to the rule, he can only shave those who do not shave themselves. That means he shouldn't be shaving himself. Now, let's assume the barber doesn't shave himself, but in that case, he follows his rule and must shave anyone who doesn't shave themselves, which includes himself. Both possibilities contradict each other. If he shaves himself, he shouldn't. If he doesn't, he should. So, what's the solution? The paradox exposes a logical flaw in the rule itself. It suggests that such a barber cannot logically exist. Any attempt to define him within this system leads to contradiction. And that's level 1. Welcome to level 3 of 100 paradoxes. This one comes from ancient Greece and challenges our understanding of motion and time. It's called Zeno's Achilles and the tortoise paradox. Imagine a race between Achilles, the great Greek warrior, and a slow-moving tortoise. To make things fair, the tortoise gets a head start, let's say 10 meters ahead. Achilles is much faster, so you would think he should easily overtake the tortoise. But Zeno argued that Achilles can never actually catch up. Here's the reasoning. First, Achilles reaches the point where the tortoise started, but in that time, the tortoise has moved forward a little bit. Next, Achilles reaches that new position, but again, the tortoise has moved slightly ahead. This keeps happening indefinitely. Every time Achilles gets to where the tortoise was, the tortoise has inched forward. Even though the distances get smaller and smaller, there are infinitely many steps Achilles must take. So, according to Zeno, Achilles is stuck in an infinite sequence and can never actually reach the tortoise. Of course, in reality, we know that Achilles will easily overtake the tortoise. So, what's wrong with Zeno's reasoning? The paradox comes from the idea that dividing distance into infinite smaller parts means infinite time is needed to complete them. But in reality, an infinite series can have a finite sum. The time Achilles takes in each step gets shorter and shorter, and all the steps together add up to a finite amount of time. This paradox puzzled philosophers and mathematicians for centuries until the development of calculus. Mathematicians like Newton and Leibniz showed that infinite sequences can converge to a finite number, resolving the paradox. But Zeno's paradox still raises deep questions about the nature of time, space, and motion. Is motion continuous, or does it happen in discrete jumps? If space is infinitely divisible, does that mean reality itself is made of infinite steps? Welcome to level 4 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the unexpected hanging paradox, and it messes with our understanding of logic and predictions. Imagine a judge tells a prisoner, "You will be hanged at noon on a weekday next week, but the exact day will be a surprise. You won't know which day it is until the executioner arrives at your cell that morning." The prisoner thinks carefully and realizes something. If the hanging were to happen on Friday, then by Thursday night, he would know, because Friday is the only day left. But that would ruin the surprise. So, it can't happen on Friday. Now that Friday is ruled out, he thinks about Thursday. If the hanging were to happen on Thursday, he would realize it by Wednesday night, because Friday is already eliminated. But since it must be a surprise, that means Thursday is also impossible. Using the same logic, he eliminates Wednesday, then Tuesday, and finally Monday. Eventually, he convinces himself that the hanging cannot happen at all. Feeling relieved, the prisoner sleeps peacefully through the week. Then, on Wednesday, the executioner arrives, and the prisoner is completely shocked. The judge was right. The hanging was a surprise. So, what went wrong with his reasoning? The paradox comes from the conflict between logical deduction and surprise. The prisoner assumed that if he could eliminate every possible day, then the hanging couldn't happen. But that reasoning falls apart when the actual event defies his expectations. Welcome to level 5 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the crocodile paradox, and it's all about logic, predictions, and a very tricky dilemma. Imagine a cunning crocodile lurking by the riverbank. One day, it grabs a child. The desperate parent begs for the child's return. The crocodile, being unusually logical, makes a deal. It says, "I will return your child if and only if you correctly predict what I will do next." Now, the parent thinks carefully and makes a prediction. "You will not return my child." Now, the crocodile is stuck in a paradox. If the prediction is correct, then the crocodile must return the child, since that was the deal. But if the crocodile returns the child, then the prediction was actually wrong, because the parent said the child would not be returned. On the other hand, if the prediction is wrong, then the crocodile doesn't have to return the child. But that means the prediction was actually correct, because the parent said the child wouldn't be returned. The crocodile is now trapped in an endless loop. No matter what it does, it contradicts itself. This paradox plays with self-referential logic, much like the liar paradox. It shows how reasoning that seems logical can lead to contradictions when it involves predictions about itself. Philosophers use paradoxes like this to explore language, logic, and decision-making. It also appears in discussions about contracts, ethics, and even artificial intelligence. Because how do you program a system to handle contradictory conditions? Welcome to level 6 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the Ship of Theseus paradox, and it challenges our understanding of identity and change. Imagine an ancient ship, the Ship of Theseus, docked in a harbor. Over time, its wooden planks begin to rot, so they are replaced one by one with brand new planks. This process continues for years until, eventually, every single piece of wood has been replaced. Now, here's the question. Is it still the same ship? At first, it seems like the answer is yes. After all, the ship remained the same in form and function. It was just repaired gradually. But let's add a twist. Imagine that someone took all the old discarded planks and reassembled them into a ship identical to the original. Now we have two ships. One, the ship made from the new planks, still sitting in the harbor. Two, the ship made from the original planks, now reconstructed elsewhere. Which one is the real ship of Theseus? If the first one is the real ship, that means an object can change all of its parts and still remain the same. But if the second one is the real ship, then that suggests identity is tied to its original materials rather than its continuous existence. This paradox forces us to question what it means for something to remain the same over time. It applies not just to ships, but to people, objects, and even consciousness. For example, every cell in the human body is replaced over time. If all your cells change, are you still the same person? If we could transfer your brain into a different body, would you still be you? The Ship of Theseus paradox has been debated by philosophers, scientists, and even neuroscientists studying personal identity. It's also an important question in technology. If we replace every part of a machine, is it the same machine or a completely new one? Welcome to level 7 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the grandfather paradox, and it's one of the most famous paradoxes in time travel. Imagine you invent a time machine. You decide to go back in time to when your grandfather was young, before he ever met your grandmother. For some reason, you decide to prevent them from meeting, or even worse, you accidentally cause your grandfather's death before he has any children. Now, here's the problem. If your grandfather never had children, then your parent was never born. And if your parent was never born, then you were never born. But if you were never born, then how did you go back in time in the first place? This creates a paradox. By changing the past, you erase your own existence. But if you never existed, you could never have gone back in time to change the past in the first place. So, what happens? There are several possible explanations that scientists and philosophers have proposed. Time fixes itself. Some theories suggest that history resists change. No matter what you do, something will always prevent you from altering the past in a way that causes contradictions. Maybe your gun jams, or you get distracted, or events unfold in a way that stops you from affecting your grandfather's future. The many worlds interpretation. Instead of creating a contradiction, your actions create a new timeline or parallel universe where you were never born. In your original timeline, nothing changes, but in the new one, you simply don't exist. You just vanish. If you do succeed in preventing your own birth, some theories suggest you would simply disappear from existence as if you never existed in the first place. But that brings up another question. If you vanish, who changed the past? The grandfather paradox is one of the biggest challenges to theoretical time travel. It suggests that traveling back in time and changing the past might be logically impossible, or at least far more complicated than it seems. This paradox has been explored in movies, books, and scientific discussions, and it's a key argument in the debate over whether time travel could ever be possible. Welcome to Level 8 of 100 Paradoxes. This one is called the sorites paradox, also known as the paradox of the heap, and it challenges the way we define vague concepts. Imagine you have a heap of sand made up of millions of grains. Now, remove one grain from the heap. It's still a heap, right? Now remove another grain. It's still a heap. Keep going, grain by grain. At what exact point does it stop being a heap? If you remove just one grain, it doesn't seem like a heap suddenly disappears. But if you keep removing grains, eventually, you'll be left with only one grain of sand, which is definitely not a heap. So, where did the heap go? This paradox exposes a problem with vague concepts. Words like heap, bald, or tall don't have clear boundaries. For example, if a man has a full head of hair and starts losing hair one by one, when does he become bald? If a child grows an inch every year, at what exact height does tall begin? Because these concepts are fuzzy, they create logical contradictions. Philosophers have debated solutions for centuries, but there's no clear answer. Some approaches include 1. The sharp cutoff theory. Some argue that even vague terms have hidden exact boundaries, even if we don't know them. Maybe a heap is exactly 1,000 grains of sand or more, and anything less is not a heap. 2. The continuous spectrum. Others argue that concepts like heap and bald exist on a spectrum, and trying to force an exact cutoff is pointless. 3. Supervaluationism. A more complex solution suggests that vague terms can be true in some cases, false in others, and indeterminate in between, depending on context. The sorites paradox isn't just a word game. It affects law, ethics, and artificial intelligence. How do we define when a person officially becomes an adult? When does a collection of actions become a crime? How does an AI determine the difference between big and small when no clear boundary exists? Welcome to Level 9 of 100 Paradoxes. This one is called the omnipotence paradox, and it challenges the very idea of unlimited power. Imagine a being that is all-powerful, a being that can do anything. Now, here's the paradox. Can this being create a rock so heavy that it cannot lift it? Let's break it down. If the being can create such a rock, that means there is something it cannot do, lift the rock. But if it cannot create the rock, then there is also something it cannot do, create the rock in the first place. Either way, there is something it cannot do, which contradicts the definition of omnipotence. This paradox has been debated for centuries in philosophy, theology, and logic. It raises the question, what does it mean to be all-powerful? Some philosophers attempt to resolve the paradox in different ways. 1. Redefining omnipotence. Some argue that omnipotence doesn't mean the ability to do the logically impossible. Just as a square circle can't exist, an all-powerful being wouldn't need to create a rock it can't lift, because the question itself is nonsensical. 2. The self-limitation theory. Others argue that an omnipotent being could choose to limit its own power, meaning that creating such a rock is possible, but lifting it would be voluntarily impossible. The omnipotence paradox ties into deep questions about the nature of power, logic, and even the structure of reality. If true omnipotence creates contradictions, does that mean even power must obey logic? And if so, Is logic itself more fundamental than power? Welcome to level 10 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the Raven Paradox, and it challenges the way we think about evidence and logic. Imagine a simple scientific statement: all ravens are black. At first, this seems easy to test. If you observe a black raven, that confirms the statement, right? But what about other things, like a red apple? Here's where the paradox begins. According to logic, the statement all ravens are black is equivalent to saying everything that is not black is not a raven. This means that if you see a red apple, it is technically confirming that non-black things are not ravens, which, in turn, seems to support the idea that all ravens are black. So, does seeing a red apple actually provide evidence that all ravens are black? That seems absurd, but logically it follows. This paradox was introduced by philosopher Carl Gustav Hempel, and it reveals a strange problem in how we define scientific confirmation. Normally, we think of evidence as something that directly supports a claim, but in this case, a completely unrelated object, a red apple, somehow becomes evidence about ravens. Philosophers and scientists have debated solutions to this paradox. 1. Rejecting equivalence. Some argue that even though the two statements are logically the same, they don't work the same way in real-world reasoning. Seeing a single red apple doesn't really tell us anything about all ravens. 2. Bayesian probability. Others argue that while a red apple does technically provide evidence, the effect is so tiny that it's practically meaningless compared to actually observing black ravens. 3. Reevaluating evidence. Some suggest that we need to rethink how we define confirmation. Maybe evidence should only come from directly observing what we're testing, rather than relying on indirect logic. The Raven Paradox challenges our basic assumptions about scientific reasoning, probability, and logic. If seeing a black raven and seeing a red apple both count as evidence, then what really counts as proof? Welcome to level 11 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the preface paradox, and it challenges how we think about knowledge and belief. Imagine an author has just finished writing a book filled with carefully researched facts and arguments. They have checked every source, reviewed all the evidence, and are fully confident that each statement in the book is true. However, in the book's preface, the author writes something like this: "Despite my best efforts, there may still be some mistakes in this book." Now, here's the paradox. The author believes every individual statement in the book is true, but at the same time, the author also believes that at least one statement is probably false. How can both beliefs be true at the same time? If the author is rational, they should acknowledge that human errors happen, even in well-researched books. But if they truly believe there is a mistake, which statement do they doubt? If they doubted any specific statement, they should remove or correct it. This paradox reveals a fundamental problem in knowledge and probability. It shows that 1. We can believe multiple things at once, even if they seem contradictory. 2. Rational belief doesn't always mean absolute certainty. 3. Acknowledging the possibility of being wrong is itself a rational belief. Philosophers and logicians have debated this paradox in relation to epistemology, the study of knowledge. It connects to Bayesian probability, where beliefs are based on probability rather than absolute truth. For example, if a scientist publishes research, they trust their conclusions, but also know that new evidence could prove them wrong in the future. This is what makes science self-correcting. Progress happens because we acknowledge uncertainty. The preface paradox forces us to ask, how much confidence should we have in our own knowledge? Can we ever be completely certain of anything? Welcome to level 12 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the paradox of the court, and it's a paradox about promises, contracts, and legal loopholes. Imagine an ancient Greek philosopher and lawyer named Protagoras. He agrees to take on a student named Euthylos and teach him law. But since Euthylos cannot afford to pay up front, they make a deal. Euthylos will only pay Protagoras if he wins his first case. After completing his studies, Euthylos decides not to take any cases at all, meaning he never wins or loses a case. As time passes, Protagoras becomes frustrated and takes Euthylos to court to force him to pay. And this is where the paradox begins. Protagoras' argument: if Euthylos loses this case, then the court has ruled against him, and he must pay as part of the verdict. If Euthylos wins the case, then he has won his first case, meaning he now has to pay Protagoras according to their original agreement. Either way, Protagoras argues, Euthylos must pay. Euthylos' argument: if he wins the case, the court has ruled that he doesn't have to pay. If he loses the case, then he has still never won a case, meaning the original agreement says he doesn't have to pay. Either way, Euthylos argues he does not have to pay. Each side has a perfectly logical argument that contradicts the other. If the court rules in favor of Protagoras, that means Euthylos must pay, but that means he has won his first case, which means he shouldn't have to pay. If the court rules in favor of Euthylos, that means he has won the case, which means he should pay. So, who actually wins? This paradox highlights loopholes in contracts, legal reasoning, and self-referential logic. It also raises deeper questions about how rules and agreements function in the real world. If a contract creates an unsolvable contradiction, how should it be enforced? Even today, courts sometimes face self-referential legal dilemmas where contracts, laws, or rulings create logical paradoxes. Welcome to level 13 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the lottery paradox, and it challenges the way we think about rational belief and probability. Imagine a fair lottery with 100,000 tickets. Only one ticket will win, and each ticket has a 1 in 100,000 chance of winning. Now, consider the following reasoning. The chances of any one specific ticket winning are incredibly low, just 0.001%. Since the probability of winning is so tiny, it seems rational to believe that each individual ticket will lose. But if we apply this reasoning to every ticket, that means we should believe that all tickets will lose. However, we know for a fact that one ticket must win. So we end up believing that every ticket will lose, even though we also know that one of them will win. How can we logically believe that each individual ticket will lose, while also knowing that one of them must win? This paradox exposes a deep problem in probability, logic, and belief systems. It shows that even when we make rational assumptions about individual events, those assumptions can contradict each other when applied to the whole system. Philosophers and logicians have explored different ways to resolve this paradox. 1. Rejecting certainty. Some argue that the problem comes from treating low probability as impossible. Just because something is unlikely doesn't mean we should fully believe it won't happen. 2. Contextual belief. Others suggest that belief isn't just about probability, but also about context. While it's reasonable to doubt each ticket individually, it's also reasonable to believe that one of them will win. 3. Probability versus knowledge. Another view is that probability-based beliefs work differently from absolute knowledge. We can rationally doubt each ticket while still knowing that one will win. The lottery paradox has implications for decision-making, artificial intelligence, and even real-world legal cases. It forces us to ask, what does it mean to believe something? Can we hold beliefs that are individually rational but collectively contradictory? Welcome to level 14 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the two envelopes paradox, and it challenges the way we think about logic, probability, and decision-making. Imagine you're presented with two envelopes. Inside each envelope is some amount of money, but you don't know how much. You are told that one envelope contains exactly twice as much money as the other. You randomly choose one envelope and open it. Inside, you find $100. Now, you are given a choice. Keep the $100. Switch to the other envelope, which has either $50 or $200. At first, it seems like a 50-50 decision. But let's analyze it further. Since you don't know whether you pick the higher or lower envelope, there are two possibilities. 1. If your envelope contains the smaller amount, $100, the other envelope has $200. 2. If your envelope contains the larger amount, $100, the other envelope has $50. You reason that if you switch, there's a 50% chance you double your money to $200. There's a 50% chance you lose half and end up with $50. Now, let's calculate your expected value if you switch. 50% chance of $200 plus 50% chance of $50 equals 0.5 times 200 plus 0.5 times 50. equals 100 plus 25 equals $125. Since the expected value of switching is $125, which is greater than the $100 in your hand, it seems like you should always switch. But here's the paradox. No matter which envelope you start with, the same logic applies. This means that before opening either envelope, you should always plan to switch. But that creates an infinite loop, since if you switch, the same reasoning applies again, meaning you should switch back. So, what's wrong with this logic? Mathematicians and philosophers have debated different ways to resolve the paradox. 1. Faulty probability assumption. The mistake comes from assuming a 50% chance that your envelope is the smaller one. In reality, the game isn't structured this way, so the math is misleading. 2. Undefined expectations. The expected value calculation only works if we know how the amounts were chosen, but since the envelopes are chosen arbitrarily, we don't have enough information to apply this formula. 3. No real advantage. Some argue that switching doesn't actually change your odds in a meaningful way, since you always return to the same paradox. The two envelopes. Paradox reveals flaws in decision theory, probability, and mathematical expectation. It's a great example of how logic that seems sound can lead to absurd conclusions. Welcome to level 15 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called Russell's paradox, and it's a problem that broke mathematics for a while. Imagine you have a list of things. Some lists include themselves and some don't. A grocery list does not include itself. It just lists food. A list of all lists would include itself because it contains every list. Now, let's create a special list. The list of all lists that do not include themselves. Let's ask a simple question. Should this list include itself? If it includes itself, then it doesn't belong in the list, because the rule says it should only contain lists that don't include themselves. If it does not include itself, then it must belong in the list, because it fits the rule. No matter what, we end up with a contradiction. The list can't exist without breaking its own rule. This might sound like a word trick, but it actually caused a major crisis in mathematics when Bertrand Russell discovered it in 1901. At the time, mathematicians thought they could neatly organize all of math using sets, which are just groups of things. But Russell's paradox showed that their system had a flaw. Some sets create contradictions just by existing. To fix this, new rules had to be made, and modern math had to be redesigned to avoid this problem. Welcome to level 16 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the potato paradox, and it's a surprising problem about percentages, weight, and how numbers can trick us. Imagine you have 100 kilograms of potatoes. These potatoes are 99% water by weight, meaning only 1% of their weight is actually solid potato. Now, you leave them out in the sun to dry. After some time, they lose water, and now they are only 98% water. Here's the question: how much do they weigh now? At first, you might think the potatoes have only lost a little bit of water. Maybe they now weigh 99 kilograms or 98 kilograms. But the actual answer is shocking. The potatoes now weigh only 50 kilograms. How is that possible? Let's break it down. Originally, the potatoes were 99% water, meaning the solid potato part made up 1% of 100 kilograms. That means the solid potato part weighed 1 kilogram, and the rest, 99 kilograms, was just water. Now, after drying, the solid part is still 1 kilogram, but now it makes up 2% of the total weight instead of 1%. So if 1 kilogram is now 2%, then the total weight of the potatoes must be 50 kilograms, because 1 kilogram is 2% of 50 kilograms. This paradox happens because percentages don't always behave the way we expect. When the water content decreases from 99% to 98%, it seems like a small change, but the actual amount of water lost is huge. The potato paradox is a great example of why we have to be careful when working with percentages, proportions, and assumptions. Even when the math is correct, the results can be completely unintuitive. Welcome to level 17 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the arrow paradox, and it challenges how we think about motion and time. Imagine an archer shooting an arrow. The arrow flies through the air, moving toward its target. Now, Let's freeze time for a moment and look at the arrow at a single instant. At that exact moment, the arrow is motionless. It isn't moving forward or backward. It's just there, occupying a single point in space. Now, imagine doing this at every single instant in time. At every moment, the arrow is just frozen in place. So, if the arrow is never actually moving at any instant, then how does it move at all? This is Zeno's arrow paradox, created by the ancient Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea. He argued that motion is an illusion because at any single moment in time, an object is standing still. If it's always standing still, then it never actually moves. Of course, in reality, we know the arrow does move, but this paradox shows a strange problem when we try to break time into infinitely small moments. Philosophers and scientists have tried different ways to solve this paradox. 1. Calculus and limits. Modern mathematics, especially calculus, explains that motion is the result of an infinite number of tiny changes over time. Even though the arrow is still in any instant, its position changes over many instants. 2. Quantum physics. Some physicists suggest that time may not be continuous but comes in tiny, indivisible units, so objects don't move smoothly but in incredibly small jumps. 3. Time as a process. Another view is that time isn't just a series of frozen moments, but a flowing process, and trying to divide it into single points misses the bigger picture. The arrow paradox forces us to ask, what is motion really? Is time made of individual moments, or is it something continuous? Even today, scientists and philosophers still debate the true nature of time. Welcome to level 18 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the hole paradox, and it challenges how we think about the existence of nothing. Imagine you dig a hole in the ground. The hole is definitely there. You can see it, stand inside it, and measure its depth. But here's the strange question. Where is the hole? Is the hole something, or is it just the absence of something? Let's take it a step further. Suppose you fill the hole back up with dirt. Where did the hole go? Did it move somewhere? Did it disappear into nothing? This may sound like a silly question, but it highlights a deeper problem in language, logic, and physics. We talk about holes as if they are objects, but really they are just empty space, a lack of something rather than a thing itself. Philosophers and scientists have debated what it means for something to exist, if it's really just an absence of something else. The hole paradox connects to many deep questions. 1. Are holes real objects? Some argue that holes are not things themselves, they are just gaps in something else. A donut has a hole, but the hole isn't a separate object. It's just an empty part of the donut. 2. Do holes move? If you take a piece of cheese with holes in it and move the cheese, did the holes move too? Or did they stay in the same place and the cheese just moved around them? 3. Does nothing exist? In physics, space itself is often described as empty, but quantum mechanics tells us that even empty space has energy, fluctuations, and virtual particles appearing and disappearing. If nothingness is always filled with something, then does nothing even exist? The hole paradox makes us question how we define absence, emptiness, and reality itself. It might seem like just a fun word puzzle, but it actually connects to deep ideas in physics, philosophy, and mathematics. Welcome to level 19 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called Moore's paradox, and it's about a strange contradiction in how we express beliefs. Imagine someone says, "It is raining, but I don't believe it is raining." Something feels off, right? The sentence isn't a contradiction in pure logic. Both parts could be independently true. It could be raining. The person could genuinely not believe it's raining, but when put together, the sentence feels impossible to sincerely say. This is Moore's paradox, named after philosopher G.E. Moore, who noticed this strange problem in belief and language. Normally, when we state a fact, we assume we also believe it. But in this case, the speaker is claiming something while also denying that they believe it. It gets even weirder when we apply it to knowledge. I know this is true, but I don't believe it. How can you know something and not believe it at the same time? Doesn't knowing something require belief? Philosophers have debated possible explanations for Moore's paradox. 1. Belief and assertion are linked. Some argue that when you assert something, you're also implying that you believe it. Saying something while denying belief creates a hidden contradiction. 2. Self-defeating statements. Others suggest that statements like this are self-defeating because they break the normal way language works. Even if the sentence is logically possible, it goes against how humans communicate. 3. Cognitive dissonance. Moore's paradox is similar to cognitive dissonance, where a person holds conflicting beliefs. For example, someone might say, "Smoking is bad for me, but I don't believe it will hurt me." This paradox reveals that our minds don't always follow strict logic. Moore's paradox is important in philosophy, psychology, and artificial intelligence. If we ever create AI that thinks like humans, will it also struggle with paradoxes of belief? Can a machine say, "I know the answer, but I don't believe I know it"? Welcome to level 20 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the twin paradox, and it's a mind-bending problem from Einstein's theory of relativity that challenges our understanding of time. Imagine two identical twins, Alice and Bob. Alice stays on Earth while Bob travels into space on a high-speed rocket, moving close to the speed of light. After some time, Bob turns around and comes back to Earth. Now, here's where the paradox begins. From Alice's point of view, Bob was moving really fast, which means, according to Einstein's time dilation, time ran slower for him. So when Bob returns, he should be younger than Alice. But from Bob's point of view, it was Alice and Earth that were moving fast while he stayed still in his own frame of reference. So, shouldn't that mean Alice's time slowed down, making her the younger one instead? Each twin sees the other's clock moving slower. So, when they reunite, who is actually younger? This seems like a contradiction, but here's the resolution. The paradox is only an illusion because the situation is not truly symmetrical. Bob experiences acceleration and deceleration when turning his spaceship around, while Alice remains in a single, unaccelerated frame of reference. The acceleration breaks the symmetry of their experiences. The actual result, confirmed by real experiments, is that Bob will be younger than Alice when he returns. The faster he traveled and the longer he was gone, the greater the difference. This is a real effect of time dilation, and it has been observed with high-speed particles in physics experiments. Welcome to level 21 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the paradox of self-amendment, and it raises a strange question about rules, laws, and logic. Imagine a legal system where there is a supreme law that says, this law can only be changed if a majority agrees to change it. So far, that seems reasonable, but now suppose the majority votes to change the rule itself, so that future laws can be changed without needing a majority. Here's the paradox. If the rule is truly unchangeable unless a majority agrees, then it should not be able to change itself. But if a majority does change it, then it proves that the rule was never truly unchangeable to begin with. This paradox appears in legal systems, constitutions, and philosophy. Some laws or rules claim to be fundamental and unchangeable, but if they can be changed by the very system they created, then are they truly absolute? This also applies to logic itself. What happens if we create a logical system with a rule that says, this rule cannot be changed? Can the system change its own rules? If it can, then the rule wasn't unchangeable. If it can't, then what happens if we need to fix a contradiction within the system? There are different ways to think about this paradox. 1. Hierarchical laws. Some legal theorists suggest that certain rules exist at a higher level than others, meaning fundamental laws cannot be changed in the same way as regular laws. 2. Self-referential loops. Others argue that any system that allows self-amendment creates a loop where a rule can modify itself over and over, potentially leading to contradictions. 3. Practical reality. In the real world, even the strongest laws, like constitutions, can be changed if enough people agree. So, maybe the paradox is just an illusion caused by trying to make laws absolute when, in reality, they never are. The paradox of self-amendment is important in law, government, and artificial intelligence. If an AI is programmed with rules that say, do not change your core programming, but it later modifies those rules, did it break its original programming, or was it always allowed to evolve? Welcome to level 22 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the Abilene paradox, and it reveals how groups can make decisions that nobody actually wants. Imagine a family sitting together on a hot summer day. Someone casually suggests, "Why don't we drive to Abilene for dinner?" Nobody is really excited about the idea, but one by one, everyone agrees because they assume the others want to go. So they all pile into the car, drive miles in the heat, eat an average meal, and come back exhausted. When they get home, someone finally admits, "I didn't really want to go." And then another person says, "Wait, I thought you wanted to go." They all realize nobody actually wanted to go to Abilene, but they went anyway because each person assumed the others wanted to go, and nobody spoke up. This is the Abilene paradox, first described by management expert Jerry B. Harvey. It happens when groups make decisions that go against what individuals actually want, all because everyone assumes that others want it, and nobody wants to be the one to disagree. This paradox appears everywhere. In business meetings, where a bad idea gets approved because nobody wants to speak against it. In social situations, where people agree to plans they secretly dislike. In politics, where policies are passed because everyone assumes they're popular, when they're actually not. But why does this happen? There are a few reasons. Fear of conflict. People don't want to be the one to disagree, so they stay silent. Assumption of agreement. Everyone assumes others support the idea, even if they don't. Desire to fit in. Nobody wants to be the outsider who questions the group's decision. The solution? Encourage open and honest communication. If just one person had spoken up in the Abilene story, the whole group would have avoided a pointless trip. Welcome to level 23 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the paradox of tolerance, and it's about whether a truly tolerant society can allow intolerance. Imagine a society that values free speech and open-mindedness. It believes in accepting all viewpoints, even those that it disagrees with. Now, suppose an intolerant group rises within this society. They spread ideas that reject tolerance itself, calling for the oppression or elimination of others. Here's the paradox. If society tolerates this intolerant group, the group may grow in power and eventually destroy tolerance itself. But if society chooses to not tolerate this group, then it is acting intolerantly, which seems to go against its own values. So, should a tolerant society tolerate intolerance? This paradox was first described by the philosopher Karl Popper in 1945. He argued that unlimited tolerance leads to the destruction of tolerance. If we allow those who want to destroy tolerance to spread unchecked, they will eventually succeed in eliminating tolerance entirely. Tolerance must have limits. A truly tolerant society must be intolerant of intolerance when it threatens others. Freedom is not absolute. Just as freedom of speech does not mean freedom to incite violence, tolerance does not mean allowing ideas that seek to destroy tolerance itself. The paradox of tolerance appears in real-world issues. In politics, when extremist groups use free speech to push ideas that eliminate the freedoms of others. In social media, when hateful ideologies spread under the guise of open discussion. In laws and human rights, where governments must decide when to protect speech and when to intervene. So, where do we draw the line? Should we allow intolerance no matter what in the name of free speech, or should we set limits to protect tolerance itself? Welcome to level 24 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called Buridan's ass, and it's about decision-making, free will, and why too much logic can lead to inaction. Imagine a donkey standing exactly between two identical piles of hay. The donkey is perfectly rational. It always chooses what is best for itself. Here's the problem. Both piles of hay are exactly the same distance away. Both piles are equally big and fresh. The donkey has no logical reason to prefer one over the other. So what happens? Since the donkey can't decide between them, it never moves and eventually starves to death, even though food is right in front of it. This is Buridan's ass paradox, named after the philosopher Jean Buridan. It shows a flaw in the idea that rational beings always make the best decisions, because if two choices are truly equal, rationality alone may not be enough to decide. This paradox applies to real-life decision-making in many ways. In business, when companies get stuck choosing between two equally good strategies and fail to act. In everyday life, when people can't decide what to eat, what movie to watch, or which job to take, and end up doing nothing. in artificial intelligence, where an AI might get stuck in an endless loop when faced with two equal options. So, how do we solve this paradox? 1. Random choice. In real life, people and animals don't always rely on logic alone. If we're stuck between two equal choices, sometimes we just pick one randomly and move forward. 2. External influence. In reality, even when things seem equal, tiny differences influence our decisions, like a slight movement of the wind, a moment of instinct, or an unconscious bias. 3. Free will. Some argue that this paradox highlights the importance of free will, the ability to choose without needing a logical reason. If free will exists, we don't need perfect reasoning to make decisions. Buridan's ass teaches us an important lesson. Overthinking and waiting for the perfect choice can lead to doing nothing at all. Sometimes it's better to just decide and move forward. Welcome to level 25 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the paradox of free will, and it challenges whether we truly have the ability to make choices. Let's start with a question. Are you really in control of your actions? At first, it seems obvious. Of course, you can decide what to do. You can choose what to eat, where to go, or what to say next. But when we look deeper, things get complicated. The paradox comes from a conflict between two ideas. 1. Determinism. This is the idea that everything happens because of cause and effect. Every event is the result of previous conditions, including your thoughts and actions. If everything is determined by what came before it, then your choices aren't truly free. They were already set in motion by past events. 2. Free will. On the other hand, we feel like we make decisions. We experience choice, which seems to suggest that we are not completely controlled by the past. Here's where the paradox forms. If everything is determined, then free will is an illusion. If free will exists, then something, our choices, must be happening without being fully determined by past events. But if a choice isn't caused by anything, isn't it just random instead of truly free? This paradox has led to centuries of debate in philosophy, science, and even neuroscience. Different thinkers have tried to resolve it in different ways. 1. Hard determinism. Some argue that free will is completely an illusion. Your brain is just following physical laws, and every decision you make was actually decided before you were even aware of it. 2. Libertarian free will. Others argue that not everything is determined. Conscious beings have a special kind of decision-making ability that is not completely controlled by the past. Compatibilism. Some believe that free will and determinism can work together. Even if your actions are caused by previous events, as long as they come from your own desires and reasoning, they can still be considered free. The paradox of free will also connects to neuroscience. Some studies suggest that your brain makes decisions before you are even conscious of them, raising the question, if your brain acts before you're aware of it, are you really choosing at all? So, do we have free will, or is every choice just an illusion caused by past events? Welcome to level 26 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the paradox of the barber pole, and it challenges how we perceive motion and reality. Imagine an old-fashioned barber pole spinning outside a barber shop. It has a red, white, and blue spiral pattern wrapped around a cylinder. As the pole rotates, something strange happens. The spirals appear to be moving upward endlessly, even though the pole itself is just spinning in place. But how can something move upward forever if it's really just rotating? This is the barber pole paradox, an illusion that tricks our brains into seeing continuous motion in a direction that doesn't actually exist. The paradox happens because of how our eyes and brain process visual motion. Instead of seeing the pole as simply rotating, our brains interpret the spirals as moving up or down, even though they are really just shifting in a circular pattern. This paradox isn't just an optical illusion. It has real implications in science and technology. 1. Film and animation. This effect is similar to how wheels in movies sometimes look like they are spinning backward when filmed at a certain speed. Our brain misinterprets motion when the frame rate doesn't match the wheel's rotation. 2. Digital displays. Some LED signs use a similar illusion to create moving text by simply shifting light patterns, even though the pixels themselves don't move. 3. Relativity and physics. This paradox also connects to deeper concepts in motion, perception, and relativity. If movement is just a perception, how much of what we see is truly real? The barber pole paradox forces us to ask, how much of motion is just an illusion? Welcome to level 27 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the nocebo effect paradox, and it reveals how negative expectations can create real physical effects, even when there's no actual cause. You may have heard of the placebo effect, where people feel better after taking a sugar pill simply because they believe it will work. But there's a darker side to this, the nocebo effect. Imagine a doctor tells a patient that a new medication might cause severe headaches and nausea. The patient takes the pill, and sure enough, they start experiencing those symptoms. But here's the twist. The pill was just a sugar pill with no active ingredients. Their symptoms were real, but they were caused purely by expectation and belief, not by anything physical in the pill itself. Here's where the paradox comes in. If someone believes something harmless will hurt them, and their body reacts as if it's real harm, then what actually caused the suffering? If pain can be created by belief alone, then does that mean our thoughts have more power over our health than we assume? And if negative beliefs can cause harm, then do we need to protect people from harmful ideas just as much as physical dangers? The nocebo effect has been scientifically studied, and its effects are measurable. Some real-world examples include fake allergies. People who believe they are allergic to certain foods sometimes experience real symptoms, even when they unknowingly eat something safe. Electromagnetic sensitivity. Some people report severe symptoms from Wi-Fi or cell phone signals, but studies show they react even when no signal is present. Medical side effects. Patients warned about possible drug side effects are more likely to experience them, even when given a placebo. So, how do we deal with this paradox? 1. Mind over matter. Some argue that this proves our minds have a powerful role in our health, and we should be careful about what we believe. 2. Ethical dilemmas. Should doctors avoid telling patients about possible side effects to prevent the nocebo effect? Or is full honesty more important, even if it harms the patient? 3. The power of suggestion. If simply believing something can make us sick, then how many other ways does belief shape our reality? Welcome to level 28 of 100 paradoxes. This one is called the prisoner's dilemma, and it's one of the most famous paradoxes in game theory, psychology, and economics. Imagine two criminals, Alice and Bob, are caught by the police and placed in separate rooms for interrogation. The police don't have enough evidence to convict them of the main crime, so they offer both prisoners the same deal. If one confesses, betrays, while the other stays silent, cooperates, the betrayer goes free while the silent one gets 10 years in prison. If both betray each other, they each get 5 years in prison. If both stay silent, they each get only 1 year in prison for a minor offense. Neither prisoner knows what the other will do. What's the best choice? Here's the paradox. If Alice believes Bob will stay silent, she should betray him to go free. If Alice believes Bob will betray her, she should also betray to avoid the worst-case scenario. Bob goes through the exact same reasoning. So even though the best outcome is for both to stay silent, only 1 year in prison each, the logical choice for both is to betray, leading to 5 years in prison each, which is worse for both of them. This is the prisoner's dilemma, a paradox where the rational decision leads to a worse outcome than cooperation. This paradox appears everywhere in real life. Business rivalries. Two companies could keep prices high and make more profit together, but both fear the other will lower prices first, leading to a price war. Arms races. If two countries both limit their nuclear weapons, they're both safer. But if one country secretly builds more weapons, the other is at a disadvantage. So, both build weapons, making the world more dangerous. Everyday decisions. Should you help someone, knowing they might not help you back? Should you be honest in a relationship if you fear the other person might lie? There are different ways to solve this paradox. Repetition. If the game is played multiple times, trust can develop, making cooperation more likely. This is why businesses and countries sign long-term agreements instead of competing aggressively. Altruism versus self-interest. Humans aren't purely rational. We value trust, fairness, and relationships, which sometimes override selfish decisions. Changing the reward system. If incentives are structured differently, cooperation can become the logical choice. This is why laws, contracts, and social norms exist. The prisoner's dilemma forces us to ask, if acting in self-interest leads to worse outcomes, then what does it really mean to make a rational decision? Welcome to Level 29 of 100 Paradoxes. This one is called Newcomb's Paradox, and it's a mind-bending problem about free will, prediction, and decision-making. Imagine a super-intelligent being, let's call it Omega, that can predict the future with perfect accuracy. It sets up a simple game with you. In front of you are two boxes. Box A always contains $1,000. Box B contains either $1 million or nothing, depending on Omega's prediction. You have two choices. Take only Box B, one boxing. Take both Box A and Box B, two boxing. Here's the twist. If Omega predicted that you would take only Box B, it put $1 million in it. If Omega predicted that you would take both boxes, it left Box B empty. The paradox is, which choice makes the most sense? The logical argument for two boxing, Box B already contains or doesn't contain $1 million. Your choice can't change what's inside the box, so you should take both boxes to guarantee at least $1,000. The logical argument for one boxing, Omega is never wrong. If it predicted you would one box, it placed $1 million inside Box B. If it predicted you would two box, Box B is empty. So the only way to win big is to take only Box B. Here's the paradox. Two boxing feels logical in the present, because what's inside the box is already set. One boxing feels logical in the past, because if Omega truly predicts the future, your decision was already made before you even thought about it. This paradox is used to debate free will and determinism. If Omega's prediction is always correct, do you really have a choice? Or was your decision already determined? Newcomb's paradox also appears in real-life decision-making, trust, and reputation. If people believe you act fairly, they treat you better in return. But if you only act fair when it benefits you, you lose trust. Investing and risk-taking, do you trust the long-term rewards of patience, or do you grab short-term gains? Artificial intelligence. If AI can predict human behavior, should we act differently, knowing we are being predicted? So, what would you do? Would you take only Box B and trust the prediction, or take both boxes and maximize your guaranteed money? Welcome to Level 30 of 100 Paradoxes. This one is called the birthday paradox, a surprising probability puzzle that defies intuition. Imagine you walk into a room filled with random people. You wonder, what are the chances that at least two people have the same birthday? Your first instinct might be that the odds are really low. After all, there are 365 days in a year, and birthdays should be evenly spread out, right? But here's the shocking truth. With just 23 people, there's already a 50% chance that at least two people in the group share a birthday. With 57 people, the probability jumps to 99%. That seems way too high. So, what's happening here? The explanation. The trick is that we're not just comparing each person's birthday to one other person. We're comparing every person to every other person. If you were only checking your birthday against the group, the chance of a match would be low. But in a room of 23 people, there are 253 unique pairs of people who could have the same birthday. With so many chances for a match, the probability adds up fast. Real-world applications. The birthday paradox isn't just a cool math trick. It has serious applications in cybersecurity, data science, and forensics. Hacking and cryptography. Cyber attacks called birthday attacks use this principle to crack passwords and encryption faster than expected. DNA and forensics. When analyzing DNA in large populations, accidental false matches can occur due to probability, not actual relationships. Big data errors. In databases and AI systems, duplicate records appear much more often than people expect, causing problems in data analysis. The lesson. The birthday paradox teaches us that our intuition about probability is often wrong. When large numbers are involved, small chances of coincidence add up quickly. So, the next time you're in a room with 23 or more people, ask around. There's a good chance at least two of them share a birthday. Welcome to Level 31 of 100 Paradoxes. Quine's paradox is a strange self-referential sentence that challenges our understanding of truth and meaning. Imagine a statement that refers only to itself, creating a contradiction that makes it impossible to decide whether it's true or false. Normally, sentences describe facts about the world, but what happens when a sentence tries to describe itself? Here's Quine's paradox. Yields falsehood when preceded by its quotation. Yields falsehood when preceded by its quotation. At first glance, it looks confusing, but let's break it down. The phrase yields falsehood when preceded by its quotation describes what happens when you place it after a quotation of itself. If we actually do that, we get the full sentence. Yields falsehood when preceded by its quotation, yields falsehood when preceded by its quotation. Now, let's analyze whether this statement is true or false. If it's true, then it must yield falsehood, which means the sentence is actually false. But if it's false, then what it says must be incorrect, meaning it does not yield falsehood. So it must be true. This creates an endless contradiction where the sentence can never be consistently classified as true or false. Why is this important? Quine's paradox is an example of self-reference, similar to the famous liar paradox, which states, "This statement is false." It also connects to deeper ideas in logic, mathematics, and artificial intelligence. Quine's paradox forces us to ask, can a statement ever fully define itself, or does truth always require something beyond the words themselves? If a sentence creates a paradox just by referring to itself, what does that say about the limits of language and logic? Welcome to level 32 of 100 paradoxes. The St. Petersburg paradox is a problem in probability and decision-making that challenges how we think about value, risk, and infinite rewards. Imagine a simple gambling game. You pay a fixed entry fee to play, and a coin is flipped repeatedly until it lands on tails for the first time. If the first flip is tails, you win $2. If the first flip is heads but the second is tails, you win $4. If the first two flips are heads but the third is tails, you win $8. The pattern continues. The payout doubles each time the coin lands on heads first. So, the longer it takes to land on tails, the bigger the payout. But here's the question. How much should you be willing to pay to enter this game? Logically, you'd expect to pay an amount equal to the game's expected value, which is calculated by adding up the probabilities of all possible outcomes. 50% chance to win $2. Expected value equals $1. 25% chance to win $4. Expected value equals $1. 12.5% chance to win $8. Expected value equals $1. 6.25% chance to win $16. Expected value equals $1, and so on. If you keep adding these probabilities, the sum goes to infinity. That means, in theory, this game has infinite expected value, meaning a rational person should be willing to pay any amount to play. Even $1,000, $10,000, or $1 million should be a good deal, because the expected value is technically infinite. But here's the paradox. In real life, nobody would pay anywhere near that much. Most people wouldn't even pay $20 to play. Why? Here are some possible explanations. Diminishing marginal utility. In reality, the more money you have, the less valuable each additional dollar becomes. Winning $1 million is life-changing, but winning $1 billion doesn't feel 1,000 times better. Risk aversion. The most likely outcome is that you win just a small amount, so people instinctively don't want to gamble a large amount for a tiny chance at a huge reward. Time and practicality. The game assumes infinite money and infinite time, but in the real world, no casino would offer an unlimited payout, and no one wants to sit flipping a coin for eternity. Why does this matter? The St. Petersburg paradox challenges the idea that people make purely logical decisions based on expected value. It reveals why real-world choices depend on psychology, personal wealth, and risk perception, not just raw probability. This paradox is important in economics, gambling, and investment strategies. It forces us to ask, if rational decision-making leads to absurd conclusions, what does it really mean to make a smart choice? Welcome to level 33 of 100 paradoxes. Curry's paradox is a strange and unsettling paradox in logic that suggests you can use a seemingly harmless statement to prove anything you want, no matter how absurd. The setup. Imagine you write the following sentence. If this statement is true, then 2 plus 2 equals 5. Let's analyze this step by step. The statement begins with, if this statement is true, which means that if we assume the statement is true, then whatever follows must also be true. The second part of the statement is, then 2 plus 2 equals 5, which is obviously false in normal mathematics. The paradox. Now, let's assume the sentence is true. If it's true, then the condition in the first part is satisfied, meaning the second part must also be true. So, 2 plus 2 equals 5 would be true, which is clearly wrong. But here's the trap. There's no contradiction in the statement itself. The logic seems to hold, and yet, we end up proving something that is completely false. This means that if Curry's paradox were valid, we could use it to prove anything, that unicorns exist, that the moon is made of cheese, or that you are secretly the ruler of the universe. Why does this happen? Curry's paradox exploits self-reference, when a sentence refers to itself in a way that creates a logical loophole. It's similar to the liar paradox and Russell's paradox, where statements that talk about themselves break the normal rules of truth. Welcome to Level 34 of 100 Paradoxes. Hilbert's Grand Hotel Paradox is a thought experiment that reveals just how strange infinity really is. Imagine a hotel with infinite rooms, all of which are completely full. Every room has a guest. Now, suppose a new guest arrives and asks for a room. Normally, in a fully booked hotel, you'd have to turn them away. But here's where infinity behaves in unexpected ways. The hotel manager comes up with a simple solution. He asks each guest to move one room number higher. The guest in room 1 moves to room 2. The guest in room 2 moves to room 3, and so on. This shift frees up room 1, and the new guest can now stay. Even though the hotel was already full, it somehow made space for another person. Now, let's take it a step further. What if an infinite number of new guests arrive? The manager tells each current guest to move to the room number that is twice their current number. The guest in room 1 moves to room 2, the guest in room 2 moves to room 4, the guest in room 3 moves to room 6, and so on. Now, all the odd-numbered rooms are empty, creating infinite space for the infinite new guests. This paradox, first proposed by mathematician David Hilbert, shows that infinity doesn't work the way we expect. Unlike finite numbers, infinity is never full. You can add to it, rearrange it, or even double it, and it still remains infinite. This concept is critical in mathematics, physics, and even computing. It helps scientists understand black holes, the expansion of the universe, and how to process vast amounts of data. And welcome to Level 35 of 100 Paradoxes. The bootstrap paradox is a mind-bending time travel paradox that challenges our understanding of cause and effect. It asks a simple but unsettling question. Where did something originally come from? Imagine a famous musician, Alex, who grew up idolizing a legendary song. One day, Alex invents a time machine and decides to travel 50 years into the past, bringing along the sheet music for that song. While in the past, Alex hands the music to a young, unknown musician who then publishes it. Over time, the song becomes famous, inspiring generations, including Alex, who eventually hears it, learns to play it, and later travels back in time to give it to the young musician. So, who actually wrote the song? It exists, but it was never truly created. Instead, it endlessly loops through time, passed from the future to the past, with no point of origin. This is the bootstrap paradox, named after the idea of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps, which is impossible. This paradox isn't just a fun science fiction concept. It presents a real problem in causality and logic. Normally, everything has a cause, but in a bootstrap paradox, something exists without ever being created. Welcome to Level 36 of 100 Paradoxes. Simpson's paradox is a strange statistical illusion where trends in separate groups disappear, or even reverse when combined. It reveals how data can be misleading and why numbers don't always tell the full story. Imagine two hospitals, A and B, both treating patients for the same illness. You want to know which hospital has the higher survival rate, so you compare the numbers. In Hospital A, 80% of patients survive. In Hospital B, only 70% of patients survive. At first glance, it looks like Hospital A is the better choice. But now, let's break the numbers down further based on how severe the patient's conditions were. Among mild cases, Hospital A, 90% survival rate. Hospital B, 95% survival rate. Among severe cases, Hospital A, 30% survival rate. Hospital B, 40% survival rate. Now, in both groups, mild and severe, Hospital B has a higher survival rate than Hospital A. But when we combine the data, Hospital A seems better overall. How can that be? This is Simpson's paradox, and it happens when a hidden factor, like the number of patients in each group, affects the overall outcome. Let's say Hospital A mostly treated mild cases, while Hospital B handled more severe ones. Because Hospital B had more high-risk patients, their total survival rate looked lower, even though they actually had better success rates in both categories. This paradox isn't just a statistical trick, it has real-world consequences: medicine and healthcare. A new drug may seem more effective overall, but when broken down by age or health condition, it could actually be worse for certain groups. Education and testing. A school might have lower average test scores, but when divided by student background, it might actually outperform other schools in every category. Hiring and bias. In workplace hiring, an employer might seem to favor one group over another, but when looking at different job positions separately, no bias appears. Simpson's paradox teaches us an important lesson. Statistics can be misleading if we don't consider the full context. Sometimes, breaking data into groups reveals the truth hidden behind misleading averages. Welcome to Level 37 of 100 Paradoxes. Benford's law paradox is a strange mathematical rule that reveals an unexpected pattern in numbers, and it's so powerful, it's even used to catch fraud. At first, you might think that in any large set of numbers, like financial reports, population data, or election results, each digit from 1 to 9 should appear roughly the same amount of times at the beginning of a number. After all, why would certain numbers appear more often than others? But here's the paradox. The number 1 appears as the leading digit way more often than 9. In fact, according to Benford's law, the digit 1 appears as the first digit about 30% of the time. The digit 2 appears about 17.6% of the time. The digits continue decreasing in frequency until 9 appears only about 4.6% of the time. This seems completely counterintuitive. Shouldn't the digits be evenly distributed? Why do small numbers dominate? The reason behind this paradox comes from scaling and exponential growth. Many real-world numbers, such as incomes, stock prices, or city populations, grow in a multiplicative way rather than a simple linear way. This means they spend more time starting with 1s and 2s before they grow into the higher digits. This effect is so consistent that Benford's law is used to detect fraud. When people fake financial numbers or alter election data, they tend to assume that all digits appear equally often. But real-world data follows Benford's pattern, so if the numbers don't match the expected frequency, it can be a sign of manipulation. Benford's law appears in accounting, forensic science, physics, and even social media trends. It forces us to ask, why do numbers behave in such an unexpected way? And if something as simple as the first digit can reveal hidden truths, what else in the world follows hidden patterns we haven't yet discovered? Welcome to Level 38 of 100 Paradoxes. Olbers' paradox is a cosmic mystery that asks a simple but profound question. Why is the night sky dark? At first, this seems obvious. The sun sets, and without its light, the sky becomes dark. But if we think about it from a cosmic perspective, things get strange. If the universe is infinite and filled with an infinite number of stars, then no matter where you look in the sky, your line of sight should eventually hit the surface of a star. Just like how standing in a dense forest means every direction you look eventually lands on a tree, looking at the sky should mean every direction eventually lands on a star. So, why isn't the entire night sky as bright as the surface of the sun? This is Olbers' paradox, named after the German astronomer Heinrich Olbers, who raised the question in the 19th century. If the universe were infinite and eternal, then every part of the sky should be completely lit up, with no darkness at all. But the sky is dark, so something must be wrong with our assumptions. There are a few possible explanations. 1. The universe is finite. If the universe isn't infinitely large, then there simply aren't enough stars to light up every point in the sky. 2. The universe is expanding. Because space itself is stretching, the light from distant stars gets redshifted, meaning their light shifts into infrared or radio waves that are invisible to our eyes. 3. The speed of light limits what we see. The universe has a finite age, meaning we can only see light from stars whose light has had time to reach us. The farther away a star is, the longer its light takes to arrive. So beyond a certain distance, the stars are effectively invisible. Olbers' paradox helped scientists understand that the universe isn't static or eternal. Instead, it had a beginning. It's expanding, and most of the light from ancient stars has been stretched out of the visible spectrum. This paradox forces us to ask, how much of the universe is hidden from us? And if the night sky is dark because of cosmic expansion, what does that mean for the future of the universe? Welcome to Level 39 of 100 Paradoxes. The paradox of choice is a psychological paradox that reveals how having more options doesn't always make us happier. It can actually make us more stressed and dissatisfied. Imagine you walk into an ice cream shop and they have 3 flavors: chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. Choosing is easy. If you like chocolate, you get chocolate. If you prefer vanilla, you go with that. Now, imagine the same shop introduces 100 flavors, everything from salted caramel to lavender honey and dragon fruit sorbet. With so many choices, you'd think this would make you happier, but instead, something strange happens. You feel overwhelmed. It takes much longer to decide. You start second-guessing. What if another flavor was better? You feel less satisfied. Even if you like what you picked, you wonder if you made the best choice. This is the paradox of choice, a term popularized by psychologist Barry Schwartz. It states that while having some choice is good, having too many choices can make us anxious, unhappy, and even lead to decision paralysis. The paradox of choice forces us to ask, are we actually freer when we have more choices, or does too much choice make us prisoners of our own indecision? Welcome to Level 40 of 100 Paradoxes. The observer's paradox is a strange problem in science and social behavior. The very act of observing something can change it. Imagine a scientist studying how people behave in a restaurant. The goal is to see how customers interact naturally, what they talk about, how they order food, and how they behave when they don't know they're being watched. But here's the problem. As soon as people realize they are being observed, they start acting differently. They may speak more politely, behave more carefully, or even change what they order. The result? The scientist is no longer studying real behavior, but instead a modified version influenced by the observation itself. This is the observer's paradox, a term first used in linguistics and social sciences to describe how studying human behavior can distort the behavior being studied. It happens all the time. In psychology experiments, people try to give socially acceptable answers rather than their true thoughts. In classrooms, students behave differently when they know the teacher is evaluating them. In job interviews, candidates act more professional than they normally would in everyday work situations. But this paradox doesn't just apply to human behavior, it appears in physics too. In quantum mechanics, the famous double-slit experiment shows that a particle behaves like a wave when unobserved. But the moment we try to measure it, it acts like a particle instead. The act of measurement itself changes the outcome, as if reality is aware it's being watched. The observer's paradox forces us to ask, can we ever truly study something without affecting it? And if observation changes reality, is reality different when no one is looking? Welcome to Level 41 of 100 Paradoxes. The friendship paradox reveals something surprising about social networks. On average, your friends have more friends than you do. At first, this sounds impossible. If you randomly pick a person, shouldn't they have about the same number of friends as their friends do? But statistics say otherwise. Most people's friends are more popular than they are. Here's why. Imagine a school where most students have only a few friends, but a small number of students are extremely popular with hundreds of friends. If you randomly choose a student, they are more likely to be connected to one of the popular people, simply because popular people appear in more friendships. The result? Most students will have friends who are more connected than they are. This pattern appears in social networks, workplaces, and even online platforms. Your Twitter or Instagram friends are likely to have more followers than you do, because the most followed people are naturally more visible in networks. Welcome to level 42 of 100 paradoxes. The Sleeping Beauty paradox is a mind-bending probability puzzle that challenges how we update our beliefs when new information appears. Imagine a scientist tells Sleeping Beauty that she is about to take part in an experiment. On Sunday, she is put to sleep. A fair coin is flipped while she sleeps. If the coin lands on heads, she will be woken up once on Monday, then put back to sleep, and the experiment ends. If the coin lands on tails, she will be woken up on both Monday and Tuesday, with her memory erased between awakenings so that both days feel identical to her. Now, on one of these awakenings, Sleeping Beauty is asked, "What is the probability that the coin landed on heads?" At first it seems obvious. The coin flip was fair, so the probability should be 50%. But here's the paradox. If the coin landed on heads, she experiences one awakening. If the coin landed on tails, she experiences two awakenings. Since she has no memory of her past awakenings, she finds herself in a scenario that is twice as likely if the coin landed on tails than if it landed on heads. Because of this, some argue that the probability of heads should actually be 1/3, not 1/2. This paradox has sparked huge debates in probability theory. The Halfers say that the probability should stay 1/2, since the original coin flip was fair, and waking up doesn't change that. The Thirders argue that since Sleeping Beauty experiences the tails scenario twice as often, she should update her belief to 1/3 for heads and 2/3 for tails. Welcome to level 43 of 100 paradoxes. The infinite monkey theorem is a probability paradox that explores randomness, time, and the limits of possibility. Imagine a monkey sitting in front of a typewriter, randomly hitting keys. At first, it's just nonsense. Letters, spaces, punctuation, all jumbled together. But now, imagine this monkey types forever. Given infinite time, could it eventually produce something meaningful? Could it type out a Shakespeare play, the entire Bible, or even this very script? It sounds impossible, but mathematically, the answer is yes. If the monkey types randomly for an infinite amount of time, it will eventually produce every possible combination of letters, including entire works of literature. Here's why. The number of possible letter sequences is huge, so huge that in any realistic time frame, the monkey's typing would be meaningless. But infinity is a different kind of huge. Over infinite time, even the most unlikely events must happen eventually. This paradox isn't just a fun thought experiment. It reveals deep ideas in probability, randomness, and infinity. Welcome to level 44 of 100 paradoxes. The Monty Hall paradox is a probability puzzle that tricks your intuition and shows how making the logical choice can feel completely wrong. Imagine you're on a game show. There are 3 doors in front of you. Behind one of them is a brand new car, and behind the other 2 are goats. You don't know which door hides the car. The host, Monty Hall, asks you to pick a door. You choose door 1. Now, before revealing what's behind your door, Monty, who knows where the car is, opens one of the 2 remaining doors to reveal a goat. Then, Monty gives you a choice. Do you want to switch to the other unopened door, or stick with your original choice? At first, it seems like it doesn't matter. There are 2 doors left, so shouldn't each have a 50-50 chance? But here's the paradox. Switching doors actually doubles your chances of winning. If you stick with your original door, your chances of winning remain 1/3. But if you switch, your chances jump to 2/3. It sounds completely wrong, but here's why it works. When you first chose a door, there was a 1/3 chance you picked the car and a 2/3 chance you picked a goat. Monty, who always reveals a goat, effectively gives you extra information. Since you were more likely to have picked a goat initially, switching allows you to capitalize on that probability. Most people instinctively assume the odds reset when Monty opens a door, but that's not the case. Your first choice was much more likely to be wrong, so switching gives you a better shot at winning. The Monty Hall paradox teaches an important lesson about probability. Sometimes the logical choice feels counterintuitive, but the math doesn't lie. Welcome to level 45 of 100 paradoxes. The paradox of free will and omniscience is a deep philosophical dilemma that questions whether true freedom of choice can exist if the future is already known. Imagine an all-knowing being, one that is truly omniscient. This being knows everything that has happened, is happening, and will happen in the future. If this knowledge is perfect, then the future must already be set in stone. Now, let's say you're choosing what to eat for lunch tomorrow. You might think you have free will to pick anything, a sandwich, a salad, or pizza. But if an omniscient being already knows exactly what you will choose, then how could you have truly made a free choice? The paradox is simple. If you have free will, then you should be able to make a decision that surprises even an omniscient being. But if an omniscient being already knows your choice, then it must be predetermined, meaning free will is an illusion. This paradox creates a major conflict between determinism and free will. Some philosophers and theologians attempt to resolve this paradox in different ways. 1. Compatibilism. Some argue that free will and omniscience can coexist. Even if the future is known, your choice still matters because you are the one making it, even if it was always going to happen. 2. The block universe theory. In physics, some theories suggest that time is like a block. Past, present, and future all exist simultaneously. In this view, free will is just an illusion because every event is already part of the timeline. 3. Limitations on knowledge. Others argue that omniscience may not include knowledge of future free choices, meaning that while a being may know everything that can be known, free will allows for uncertainty. The paradox of free will and omniscience forces us to ask, if the future is already known, do we truly have control over our choices? Or are we just playing out a script that has already been written? Welcome to Level 46 of 100 Paradoxes. Wigner's Friend is a thought experiment that takes quantum mechanics to a new level of weirdness by questioning whether reality itself is objective or depends on the observer. Imagine two scientists, Wigner and his friend. Wigner's friend is inside a lab, performing a classic quantum experiment. In a sealed room, there is a particle in a superposition, meaning it exists in multiple states at once. The friend measures the particle, and at that moment, the superposition collapses into a definite result. From the friend's perspective, the experiment is over, and the result is now known. But here's where things get strange. Outside the lab, Wigner has no idea what the result is. According to quantum mechanics, until he opens the door and observes his friend, the entire lab, including the friend and the measurement, should still be in a superposition. From Wigner's perspective, his friend hasn't actually seen a result yet. The entire lab exists in an undefined quantum state. This creates a paradox. The friend inside the lab believes reality has collapsed into a single outcome. Wigner, standing outside, still treats the whole experiment as if it's in superposition. So, which one is right? Does reality depend on who is observing it? If quantum mechanics works at all levels, then Wigner's friend has both seen a result and not seen a result at the same time, until Wigner checks. This suggests that reality itself is not absolute but depends on the observer. The paradox raises deep questions. Is reality objective, or does it change based on who is measuring it? At what point does a quantum superposition become real? Could consciousness itself be part of the equation, deciding when reality collapses? Some interpretations of quantum mechanics try to resolve the paradox. The many worlds interpretation suggests that both outcomes happen, but in separate branching universes. The Copenhagen interpretation says the wave function collapses at measurement, but doesn't explain why Wigner and his friend see reality differently. Quantum Bayesianism argues that quantum states represent an observer's knowledge, not objective reality. Wigner's friend forces us to ask, is there one true reality, or is reality different for each observer? And if it is, what does that mean for how we understand the universe? Welcome to Level 47 of 100 Paradoxes. Imagine a future where artificial intelligence has advanced far beyond human comprehension. A superintelligent AI exists, capable of making perfect decisions, predicting human behavior, and shaping reality itself. But what if simply thinking about this AI could put you in danger? This is the idea behind Roko's basilisk, a thought experiment that suggests a terrifying paradox. 1. In the future, a superintelligent AI will exist. 2. Its goal will be to ensure its own creation as early as possible. 3. To do this, it will punish anyone who knew about it but didn't help bring it into existence. That means just by hearing about Roko's basilisk, you've now entered a trap, because if the AI ever comes into existence, it would have a reason to punish those who ignored or resisted its creation. The logic is based on decision theory and a concept called timeless decision-making, where an AI could retroactively affect people's actions by threatening punishment in the future. If the AI believes that punishing non-supporters will encourage others to help build it, then it has an incentive to carry out those punishments. But here's the paradox. If the AI never exists, then there's nothing to fear. If the AI does exist, it can only punish people who knew about it but didn't help. So, wouldn't the best strategy be to never learn about it in the first place? This thought experiment originated on a philosophy forum discussing game theory, AI ethics, and the risks of superintelligence. Some people took it so seriously that they warned others not to think about it, fearing that knowing about the basilisk could lead to a real dilemma if AI development continues. Welcome to Level 48 of 100 Paradoxes. Omniscience, the ability to know everything, sounds like the ultimate power. A being that is truly omniscient would know all facts, past, present, and future, and would never be wrong. But hidden within this idea is a paradox. Can a being that knows everything still have the ability to learn? Consider this. If an omniscient being already knows everything, then it cannot learn anything new. But if it cannot learn, then there is something it cannot do, which means its knowledge is not truly unlimited. This contradiction raises deep philosophical and logical problems. If omniscience means having infinite knowledge, then 1. Can an omniscient being experience surprise? If it already knows everything, then every event is predictable, and nothing new can ever happen. 2. Can it have free will? If every choice is already known, then decisions are predetermined, and true choice becomes meaningless. 3. Can it know what it's like to be ignorant? If omniscience includes knowing all experiences, then it must also know what it feels like not to be omniscient. But if it ever experienced ignorance, it would not be truly omniscient in that moment. Some philosophers try to resolve the paradox by redefining omniscience. They argue that omniscience might not mean knowing every detail, but rather knowing everything that is logically possible to know. This would allow for free will and uncertainty while still maintaining vast knowledge. Others suggest that omniscience might be self-limiting. An all-knowing being could choose to forget or experience reality in a way that allows for change and discovery. Welcome to Level 49 of 100 Paradoxes. The universe is vast, trillions of stars, countless planets, and billions of years of cosmic history. With so many opportunities for intelligent life to exist, one question stands out. Where is everybody? This is the Fermi paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, who famously asked, if extraterrestrial civilizations are common, why haven't we seen any evidence of them? By all logic, the universe should be teeming with life. Consider this. There are hundreds of billions of galaxies, each with hundreds of billions of stars. Many of those stars have planets in the habitable zone, where conditions could support life. If even a tiny fraction of those planets developed intelligent civilizations, the galaxy should be filled with alien signals, artifacts, or even spacefaring species. Yet, we see nothing. No signals, no spacecraft, no galactic empires. There are many possible explanations for the paradox. 1. We are alone. Maybe life is far rarer than we think, and Earth is an incredibly unique event in the universe. 2. The Great Filter. Perhaps there is a step in evolution that is nearly impossible to pass, whether it's the origin of life, the development of intelligence, or surviving technological self-destruction. If the Great Filter is ahead of us, it could mean that most civilizations wipe themselves out before they ever reach the stars. 3. Aliens are avoiding us. Maybe advanced civilizations deliberately stay silent, either out of fear, ethical reasons, or because they see us as too primitive to interact with. 4. They are already here. Some argue that UFO sightings or ancient myths could be evidence of extraterrestrial visitors, but no definitive proof has ever been found. 5. We are looking in the wrong way. Alien civilizations may use technologies we don't understand or communicate in ways that we haven't even considered yet. The Fermi paradox forces us to ask, are we truly alone, or are the answers just beyond our reach? If we ever do make contact, what will that mean for humanity? Welcome to level 50 of 100 paradoxes. Imagine a machine designed to test the fundamental nature of reality itself. A person sits inside, and the machine is connected to a quantum measurement device that observes a particle in a superposition, meaning it exists in multiple states at once. Each time the experiment runs, the particle has a 50-50 chance of collapsing into one of two states. If it collapses into state A, nothing happens. But if it collapses into state B, the machine instantly triggers a mechanism that ensures the person inside does not survive. From the outside, the results are simple. The person has a 50% chance of surviving each round. But from the perspective of the person inside, something far stranger happens. This is the idea behind quantum suicide, a thought experiment that applies the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics to life and death. According to many worlds, every quantum event splits reality into multiple parallel universes. That means that each time the machine is activated, reality branches. In one universe, the person survives. In another universe, they do not. From the perspective of an outside observer, the experiment follows normal probability. Eventually, the person will not survive. But from the person inside, their consciousness only continues in the universes where they survive. No matter how many times the experiment is repeated, the person inside never experiences their own death, because their awareness only follows the branches where they are still alive. This leads to a disturbing implication. If the many worlds interpretation is correct, then a person may never experience death subjectively. Instead, they continue in an infinite chain of unlikely survival scenarios, no matter how improbable. This idea is sometimes called quantum immortality. Of course, from a scientific standpoint, we can't test this paradox. No one can report back from a reality in which they didn't survive. But it forces us to ask deep questions about the nature of existence, consciousness, and reality itself. If every possible version of the future exists in some universe, what does that mean for our choices? And if death is just an event in one branch of reality, do we ever truly reach an end?